we have to, at least in the initial phase,
Proof of stake oligarchica.
use proof of work as a bootstrap mechanism. But when you start to get into proof of work, then you have a security issue. So then we were just like, okay, it makes sense to do some kind of merge mining to gain the security from another chain. And we were like, well, Monero is like a natural fit. It's like it's the closest community to us, really. So it's also kind of like, what's interesting about Monero community is the miners. They're not really operating at a profit. And it's very distributed. And generally in token allocation, you want to have a very even distribution. That's very good in terms of a distribution question. And also it's kind of like an airdrop to the Monero community as well. So I think actually Seth proposed that. I don't know if he's here, but anyway.
Seth's not here. Do we have any questions for Amir, please?
Oh, okay.
Amir here. Just a quick question, like how do you see the ecosystem development, especially within that anonymous engineering sort of framework? How you see people building and then fundraising for their own projects, and generally speaking, how their anonymity would retain with the amount of applications on top of layer 1?
You mean socially or technically?
Both. Because then maybe you need to run some sort of a community fund for DarkFi or whatever, how it would even look like.
Okay. I mean, this is a very expansive question, but Ethereum has, because of the consequence of history, has kind of defined like what is the conventional wisdom about how projects do things. And, you know, Ethereum is like this market-based system, and, you know, they were like, okay, we, you know, try and make it attractive to developers, and developers come and start building. I think, you know, that's the conventional wisdom, but I actually, when we look at the history of operating systems, you know, and there's like 3 phases that I can count, which is the era of, I think, system 360, the Unix era, and the DOS era. And all of the projects that kind of succeeded were because they focused their energy on developing a very cohesive set of useful products. This is something I see with the L1s that are developed today, where they try and do this. I think it's a bit of a scam game where, you know, you see these big graphics and you're like, oh, so and so L1 has all of these products. It's like, are any of these products being used? You know, like, how useful are they? And I see people all the time going, oh, why can't I trade my Monero? Or why can't I do this thing? And it's like Monero. If it does the upgrade with the membership proofs, etc., it will be perfect. It doesn't need, like Bitcoin, you know, it will be better than Bitcoin, but it'll be fully anonymous. So, but that stuff will never get built on Monero simply because of the economics. You know, that's very subjective what I said, but, you know, I think the reason Ethereum succeed is because it has an entire pipeline of VCs and, you know, infrastructure that if you're a new project, you know, you can get bootstrapped, etc. Okay, I don't want to go. I don't want to take too much time, but that's a talk in itself. You know, technically about anonymous engineering, everybody has their own opinion. A lot of people are trying to, you know, make it easy for devs languages inside of cryptography. I think maybe we need to leverage like more exotic kind of math and like create a different paradigm for developers. It won't be what they're used to, but it will be a lot more powerful and flexible. But that's like my opinion. I don't know. I don't think anybody agree with that. But yeah. Next question.
Yeah, sorry to revisit it, but the whole proof of stake versus merge mining. I just wondered if you kind of implied you've already got proof of stake ready to go. Had you considered maybe a hybrid, something like what Decrypt did back in the day?
To be honest, it's not my area, consensus. Like, there are other computer science kind of guys more into that kind of stuff. So I kind of go there. I don't really understand.
Hey, Amir, great talk. An interesting question. So obviously, with the Samurai Wallet issues, with Alexei Pertsev being sentenced and having to go to jail, obviously there's a crosshairs on your back because government agents are going to be looking at. There's probably a CIA agent from the U.S. in this crowd right now who watched this talk. So how do you psychologically manage that and deal with that? The idea that these guys might be coming after you. What are your thoughts, and how would you express that for all the developers here who are building? How should they manage?
Okay, so I was under house arrest for a year when the UK government was investigating me for terrorism. And in the beginning, my lawyer, he said to me, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, that's so fucked up, they're abusing the law. He was like, yeah. And then I said, oh bro, like, if we want to make a statement to show people, you know, I can go to jail. He's like, Mir, shut up. You do not want to go to jail. And then he told me about some guy who did go to jail, and you know, he said in the first few weeks everybody was like, oh, free, blah, blah, blah. But then after a while they just forgot about him, and even years later he goes, oh, so, you know, bro, what's happening with my case? Anything? And he's like, no, not really. So he's like, if you go to jail, that will happen to you. And, you know, part of me is like, oh, I get to do a lot of math in jail. That'll be comforting. But that's... probably won't be. I don't know if I'd be able to eat protein-rich diet and work out. So, but
the time has come again.
But yeah, I don't. It's not my intention to go to jail. So obviously you know, you're fighting the state, and you know, you have to not break laws that make it easy to put you in jail. So you have to be smart about that, and we're not breaking any laws, but we are developing software, and we do have an ideology, and that's one of the differences. Like, for example, you know, in my case with the Kurds, you know, for example, the PKK. Oh no, sorry. Let me give you a different. Let's say there was a right-wing guy, like a neo-Nazi guy, and there is some neo-Nazi group, and that group is prescribed as a terrorist organization. He cannot go, I am a member of that group, but he can say, I sympathize with the ideals of that group. So there is a distinction there between the beliefs that you hold and the actions that you take. So that's like basic 101. But you know, they can put any one of us in jail, and that will just make us more powerful. Other people will step up. Other people will be radicalized. It will become more obvious. So that's the nature of fighting a war. You go towards the danger. People will fall down. You know, other people will follow behind them. So, you know, that's the situation we're in. Do we want crypto to, you know, change? Do we want to leverage that power? And you know, I think it's like an opportunity.
So, yeah, please. Before we let the sticker horde up again. Please talk about the algorithm table, which is
Oh, there's a journal. There's a group of people publishing a journal called the Agorism Journal. So if you go in the back, you can find copies of these journals, and it's inviting all different thinkers and philosophers who are anti-state to write about agorism.
Not much time to sit with it. Stick to the plan.
I can't remember the list of names of who's written it, but you can take a look at them and see,
I'll just
who's
close my eyes,
contributed to the journals.
try to find
I'm not
why
selling that
I'm
great.
actually here. 'Cause
Yeah, Cody Wilson is in there.
But then I came here to find myself.
Nick Land.
So
Yeah, lots of
perhaps
different
the other half.
agorist people.
there's a number of issues and publications available that I highly recommend. Amir, thank you so much for sharing your passion and idealism and dedication with us.
I'm here now though. I should take some time to shed last layers, doing some prayers, drifting off into the other realm.